Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We began reading the translation of Al-Maqsad al-Asna fi Sharh Asma'illah al-Husna. Al-Ghazali, the 99 Beautiful Names of God, which was translated by David Burrell and Nazi Dahir. I have known David Burrell, a Catholic priest from the University of Notre Dame in the United States. I have known him for many years. He passed away, I would say recently. He used to come to Jerusalem very often, and he was associated because the Tantur Ecumenical Institute in Jerusalem, just south of the city between Jerusalem and Bethlehem, on a hill between Jerusalem and Bethlehem, a beautiful place. It's an ecumenical institute, but many activities do take place, and I have given lectures at the Tantur Ecumenical Institute for almost 40 years. I did teach with David Burrell a course on the names of God, and it was a course on the names of God in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Many memories, and he would in general, he would speak about the unknowability of God in Islam. We'll probably understand some of this when we read the translation, of course. So, for those who are familiar with this text, it was published by the Islamic Text Society in 1992. This is in Cambridge in the UK, because there's another Cambridge in the larger the metropolitan area of Boston. That's where Harvard is. And because of this relationship, and I think it's the names, the details here in the preface, I would like to read it. We present, these are the translators, we present this translation of Al-Ghazali's treatise on the 99 Beautiful Names of God as a way of allowing those hitherto unfamiliar with Islamic thought to taste something of the reflective capacities of a man, they're speaking about Imam Al-Ghazali, who has continued to be recognized as a philosophical theologian over the centuries. The treatise is based in practice, the custom on the part of Muslims to recite the names of God culled from the Quran in a traditional order, usually using a set of 33 beads. He is speaking about the Subha, to assist them in enumerating the names. Of course, you know that this is not entirely necessary if you you can. There's a video in which, for example, Sheikh Ali Jum'ah enumerates the names without the Subha. I'm just giving an example. These names recall the attributes whereby God has made himself known in revelation, and which also connect human expression with matters divine. So to recall God as the merciful one is to allude to those verses of the Quran where God is so named. So if we talk about the basmala as an ayah, as a verse, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is one. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, that's another one. قل ادعوا الله وادعوا الرحمن. Do call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do supplicate to Him, or call on the merciful. So these are some of the verses that come immediately to my mind. So to recall God as the merciful one is to allude to those verses in the Quran where God is so named, as well as experiences of mercy we may have had. The connection between our experience and the reality of God's mercy may be tenuous, but the verbal connection provides a slender thread, at least, so that reciting these divine names allows us to bring God into our ambit. Yet the fact that names are more than attributes, because God uses them of Himself in revealing Himself to the Prophet, ﷺ, saves our recitation from reducing God to our experience, and nothing is like unto Him. Such, at least, is the strategy which Ghazali takes in offering this commentary on a practice. Part 1 canvasses some of the conceptual issues involved, such as differentiating name from attribute, outlining what is involved in the act of naming and how names relate to the objects they purport to name. His reflections here mirror some of the issues currently debated in philosophical circles to show that these matters defy easy resolution. Part 2 addresses each name in the traditional list of Abu Huraira, first noting how our use of the term to attribute certain features to God may be clarified and purified so as to provide a helpful rather than a misleading pointer to the reality which the Quran names in God. The second part of his treatment of each name is normally introduced by the term counsel, 10b, and intends to offer counsel on how individual believers might themselves have a share in this divine attribute and thereby make themselves more pleasing to God. An epilogue to this section explores diverse explanations of this sharing in the attributes of God, and Ghazali's own positions regarding the Sufi tradition are clarified, while chapter 2 and 3 relate his treatment to a traditional religious ordering of the names, as well as to philosophers' views on the divine nature. Part 3 inquires about names not found in the traditional list but present in the Quran or in subsequent tradition, the benefits of enumerating the names in their traditional order, and the relative freedom which believers may enjoy in adding names to those given by God Himself. Abu Hamid al-Ghazali has been credited with establishing a fruitful rapport between Sufism and traditional Islam, Sunnah. He made his own intellectual and spiritual journey available to us. See McCarthy in bibliography, so that one can grasp the role which Sufi writings played in his own life, as well as the time he spent in seclusion to devote himself to Sufi devotional practices. His relation to the spiritual movement seems to the reader to be more intellectual than that of a thoroughgoing seeker. However, and many have remarked that he nowhere speaks of having mastered a decisive criterion for authentic Sufi seekers. Whatever we make of this, there is no doubt that his debt to Sufism is great, and this work intends to register it explicitly. For the recitation of the names of God, indeed, their continual repetition was ritual dear to Sufis as a way of allowing the word of God to penetrate to their hearts. So the very structure of Ghazali's treatise, as well as some of the specific reflections, displays the practice of this tradition. I'm going to stop right now. There is the attack of the Iranian drones and rockets. About maybe 10 of them already arrived in Jerusalem. I'm going to stop and try to see what's going on. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.